and welcome to Faith, Final Drafts, and the F Word. I'm Darla Phillips, a host and producer, along with fellow screenwriters Sarah Hopkins and Rebecca Williams Spindler. Join us as we share our experiences navigating careers in film and television. Add in the twist that we're women of faith, entering into life's second season, and you might find yourself mumbling under your breath. Good luck with that, ladies. Follow along for some guaranteed laughs and some valuable screenwriting and industry perspective. Anyone with a dream will enjoy this podcast video. Hope you join in. And remember, we gotta enjoy the journey.
All right, welcome back everybody to Faith, Final Drafts, and the F Word. We are back in Milwaukee, strategically placed in a different area of this ginormous, huge flat.
Shaking it up, keeping it fresh.
Exactly.
Yep.
We just had an amazing lunch, and we were just talking about how much fun we're having doing this podcast. And so
Absolutely.
we're back again at it, and I'm super excited about our topic. Before we get started, I guess first of all, our topic is just talking a little bit about writing etiquette and being a writer and how we have etiquette in this world and how it really leads into something else called relationship building. But before we get started into that, let's start going over our 3 Fs. Donna, would you like to start us off?
Yes. Okay, so my faith, for my faith word, my F word, the faith word this week, I wanted to give a little shout out to some of the people that have been giving us awesome comments on our podcast. So if you haven't noticed, we've been filming these in segments of 3. They might look like they're every week, but the first 3 were in one spot, the second 3 in another. So we haven't really had the opportunity to, this is the first opportunity we really have this go round of filming to say thank you to some of the people that have been making comments, telling us how much they're enjoying the podcast. And so I just want to do a shout out to one of our fangirls who, she just let me know she loves us. I'm not going to say her name, but I gave her the code word so she knows it's her. And she's a tough cookie. She's hard to impress. And she basically was like, Darla, I started watching, pretty sure I was going to hate it. And she's like, I just have to tell you, I love it. And so you know who you are. Thank you for your support. And she gives me lots of little fun tips that we should incorporate, try to. So anyways, thank you for the support. And there's so many other people that have given us some fun feedback. So thank you for that. That's my faith. My final draft, I guess, is just that I've been writing. I'm reading for people. And then I'm getting new inspiration for projects that'll be like 10 years away from here. 10 years from now, I'll work on those. But I'm just always super excited when the inspiration still comes from new ideas to write on. And my frustration, I think this week is just not enough sleep. And I think we can all, that's probably all of our frustration.
Yes.
We're just not getting
Sleep
enough
when you're dead.
I know. We gotta get stuff done. So anyways, those are my 3. What about, who wants to go?
Becky.
Me. Okay. So for faith, I just want to, I have a lot of gratefulness. I was able to take a trip with my daughter. And so whenever you have the opportunity to spend time with your 20-something, it's a wonderful time to do that. So we went out to Washington, D.C. for the first time and checked out the sights and the monuments and all of that out there, and it was wonderful. And we caught the cherry blossoms in bloom, and that was one of our hopeful things to do. So yeah, and it's great to have bonding time with my adult child. So thank you. Final draft. So I am working on some pitches for some new material, and doing some rom-com kind of stuff. And then I'm having a short story published later this summer, so that was
Exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. And then what's our last one? Oh, the F word. So yes.
Oh, the bad one.
Yeah. So as with anybody in anybody's life, things are happening in my extended family that have given us some difficult circumstances. It's always hard to lose a parent, or in my case, a parent-in-law, someone that's been very substantial in my life for the last 28 years. And so that's been hard. Yeah. But these 2 helped me so much because I got the news while I was away from my husband. But I was with these 2, and through prayer and through friendship and through love, I was able to get back home to be with my family. But these guys were my family.
And I really do feel that way. I was thinking about that, how much I love you both. So thank you.
Yeah. Definitely sisters.
So what's yours?
My 3 Fs. Okay, well, final draft stuff. My final draft, I'm in that really cool place. And if anybody's ever written a script and then you send it off and you're in that sweet spot of like, I don't owe anybody anything right now. I don't have this script that's like talking to me from the corner like, you need to finish me. Or, it's so nice. Like I'm a list person. Like I like checking the box off kind of thing. And right now the writing box is weirdly kind of checked. And I'm like, oh, what do I do now? So my brain is like freed up to be thinking about all my next things. And I'm really excited about my next draft of whatever I am going to be working on. So I'm excited. I'm in that really cool spot of like kind of closing, not necessarily closing the chapter on it, but it's gotten to a place where it's not active writing, which is a wonderful thing.
Final draft.
It is, and it's final draft. Look at that. Good stuff, my friends.
Yes. And the sweet spot that doesn't last long, so enjoy it.
Yes. It's going to be like 20 hours. And I'll have an email like, but yeah, no, it's fun to have the final draft be in final draft, which is good. My faith piece. So we are just on the tail end of Easter here, and I was really really excited about our Easter services, mostly just because it was going to be Good Friday service. My husband's working crazy hours right now, and he was supposed to be working nights the entire Easter weekend. And so we went to Good Friday service on the Friday before, thinking that was kind of going to be our only real church experience or that we would have as a family. And then, which was an amazing service. And then we found out on Saturday, like late evening, that he wasn't going to have to go into work. And so he'd be able to go to church on Easter with us. So it was like, us as a family, just between being him military and medical, like shift work, anybody that lives in that world knows that you oftentimes don't celebrate the holiday on the holiday because they're just not around. And so you have to figure out birthdays and anniversaries and all that kind of stuff. But he was home on Easter this year, and it's his last push before he retires, so it was this wonderful little, like, awesome, very huge blessing that he was able to come to Easter service with us. So that was kind of my faith piece.
Tender mercy.
Yeah. And my frustration is also the stinking weather. Why do we live here?
I know.
Yeah.
Because family. That's why we live here right now. So
jobs.
Yes.
And it's beautiful.
It is.
Half the year.
In the summer, in the fall.
Yes.
Right now we're like between snow and rain.
Yeah,
snow and rain.
like it goes from 60 to 32 and rainy. Yeah, it's snowing.
And it'll be 80 on Saturday. What's
yeah,
up?
That's just where we live. It doesn't know what it wants to do, and sometimes that gets old.
It's I always think this is Mother Nature at her moodiest right here.
It's true.
In Wisconsin.
That is true. Well, let's start talking about our topic today. So one of the things when we were coming up as writers is trying to figure out who you are when you're outside of your writing, right? So you have that draft finished, you have this polished piece that you worked with a mentor with, or you've worked with a coach with, or you've worked with a co-writer with, and you feel like you're at this place where this thing's ready to go out into the world. Well, this thing doesn't magically grow wings and end up in somebody's read pile. It doesn't magically just get, mailed to somewhere or something like this. The process of getting your writing out into the world happens through people. And that's some of the things that I feel like writers, once you have this thing, you don't really know what to do with it next. And sometimes we can misstep because we're very excited about what we've finished and we're proud of what we've done. But there's a proper way to be able to get your writing projects into the hands of the people that you want to read them. And one of the things that I felt was kind of important to talk about, because it's so easy, like, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm like a formula person. Like, give me the formula, give me the template, and then I can follow it. But this writing etiquette, depending on who you are going to be talking to, is different in different forms. So we thought it'd be kind of cool to talk a little bit about the different ways of how you approach people and the venues and the channels that works through. So go ahead.
And share some of our trials
and
some of our fears.
Yes.
Well, as with
Because we
anything
have
in the screenwriting business, there is no real template.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. There's some good baseline tips, and that's probably what we're going to talk about.
You learn what to do and what not to do.
Right, exactly. So writer's etiquette, and this is something that when we started processing, that it was very important to note that, the way that you handle yourself in all areas of being a human being, interacting with human beings has nothing to do with your writing. So like your writing piece, awesome. Stick that in a file folder, and then you need to figure out how you're going to engage these people. So it's safe to say that many of us in the industry, you know, we didn't necessarily follow industry etiquette because nobody really knew how to do it. Right. And the first thing we need to kind of talk about first is like, who are you going to be engaging? What is their role? So who are people that you as a writer are going to be engaging with? Like who do we need to figure out how to have etiquette with?
So we were talking a little bit about lunch. So I guess I have called myself a multi-hyphenate because I produce things and I write things. Two different avenues of how you would approach somebody. So yeah, as a writer, I mean, well, I don't think I ever was brave enough to send an email to anybody. I mean, I just worked my way through networking and competitions, waiting for that window to open organically, and waiting maybe to be invited in before I ever dared, send an email that direction. But on the production side, I've been very different because the etiquette's different, and we don't need to go into that today because that's not what we're talking about. But yeah, I with that hat on, I definitely felt like I could reach out to other production companies through my production company. But the writing side, very, very different. I worked my way through writing great scripts and networking, and then
in-person networking.
Yes, waiting for that opportunity for me to send that email, and then running it by my friend here. Like, okay, the invitation's there to send. What do I say? What do I do? And we've done that for each other.
Right.
So when the opportunity comes.
So I've done the in-person networking.
Yeah.
And we've talked on previous episodes about going to film festivals and finding venues where you can network with the industry people, the producers, the directors, and the decision makers, if you will. But if you're from the outside LA area like we are, you should probably, read the trades. And we've talked about this before, Deadline and Variety and those kinds of places. And you can see studios and managers who are either, representing certain kinds of genre material that maybe you write. That's what I look for. So I'll find, an article about someone who is looking to do a family comedy on streaming somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then I'll look up that person, I'll do some research on the internet about that person, find out what agency they work for, and then you query.
Yes,
You don't send the giant script, you don't send a 4-paragraph email, it's just something, small query, little thing, an intro about yourself and your professional writing life. That has a little something personal in it.
Well, and you can usually tell who wants your query. So that's also, let's make sure you're querying people who, like you said, you're paying attention, you're doing the research, making sure these people are looking for stories or wanting you to turn to query them. That makes a big difference. And I think that you're good about doing that.
Well, let's back it up to emails. So one of the things I feel is really, really important, especially for people that don't live in the industry, and even honestly people that are in the industry right now. Right now, emailing is how you communicate with people. And you probably notice that you're doing way more emailing in your normal life anyway. Like you're not texting people that are not outside of your circles.
Right.
You're emailing people. And so figuring out how to write an email is very, very important, depending on who that's going to, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the things that we thought would be really important was just understanding how email is currency. Mm-hmm. So you are lucky enough for somebody to open up that door. You were at a film festival, you were talking with somebody and was like, oh, here's my email address. Email in this kind of industry it's basically kind of like we're saying, currency.
It's the golden ticket.
It is.
And how you use that ticket.
And it's your specific ticket. Mm-hmm. This is one of the things where you're not going to be asking other people for, hey, I know you had a meeting at blah, blah, blah. Can I get that exact email address? Like,
share that.
Don't do that. That door has not been open to everybody. That door has been open to you. And so how you operate with this kind of swinging door is very important. And one of the things that we've often talked about is, making sure that when you are emailing somebody that you're not always asking for something and how you phrase that. So you had a really great example that happened just very recently watching something that trays. Do you want to tell that story? Because I think that's kind of a cool one just to kind of show how this all works organically.
Sure. So I did see someone that they had a write-up about them in Deadline, I think it was. And I had kind of started a very early on relationship with her. And when I saw the article about her, I just kind of circled back and I congratulated her because that's a big deal to have Deadline, do an article about you. And I got a response from her within 24 hours, and it was just a very sincere congratulations. This is awesome. But it was a human to human interaction, right? And I wasn't asking her for anything. I was just, congratulating her on something that was pretty awesome. And so when I got that, reply back so quickly, that made me feel good that,
And then what else was in that reply, which I think is probably the more important thing that shows how you weren't asking for something.
Right. So we were in our early stages of, getting to know each other, and a script was forwarded to her of mine. And these people are busy, right? And so I just kind of let it be. And then when I sent her the congratulations, at the next sentence was, I'm going to get to your script. I'm super, super busy. Mm-hmm. So that was enough validation for me to know that it didn't get lost. Mm-hmm. It's on her radar.
Yes.
And that's all we can hope for.
And that was the best way. That's a perfect example of how it's like this banking system. Are you putting into their bank? Or are you taking out of their bank? And you're also showing engagement. You're putting yourself on her radar. You're not asking for anything. Like that shows that somebody is human, face value, and human, right?
Yeah. And not to mention, it shows you're keeping up on what's going on
by
reading Deadline.
Another part of the email thing is the brevity of emails. We are writers. It's very difficult as a writer to write a short email.
So true.
So, Darla, what are your kind of tips on how you email? Like, what do you what's kind of your structure?
We have some instincts. We just do. And I was always like, okay, these dudes and women and men, these industry people are busy. And also I have my husband who's always in the background. They're only going to read one word. So I knew I needed to keep it short and sweet. But I also think we're creators. So you want to leave a little bit of an impression. So if you can find a creative way, and if we're writers, we're creators, to just leave a little essence of yourself in those short little sentences. And that's just something unique to every person, something that maybe gives a little bit of your voice. And I don't know, I think that's part of what we do. We're creators. We can create some short, sweet, and impactful emails that maybe will keep them reading more than one word. Right. My husband always tells me.
Can I tell you about a natural mistake? And this isn't natural. Everybody has probably done this at one time or another. So this isn't even an industry person. Mm-hmm. We have a new pastor at my church. And this new pastor found out that I'm a writer. So he sent me a really, sweet email saying, "Oh, I heard you did da da da." So I fired back with a huge response of everything I've ever written and what I'm doing with my writing life, and blew
him away.
Yes! Well, to the point where I didn't get a reply.
Oh, it was too much.
So, but it was just a natural, someone's interested in me, so I'm going to tell them everything. And I think a lot of us feel that way, like, ooh, somebody's interested. I don't want to leave out anything.
Yeah.
I don't know what to exclude, so I'm just going to tell them everything. And when you're dealing with this particular industry, you can't do that. You really have to pinpoint something that's really the cream of the crop for you, that's done well for you in contests, or, find that one singular piece of writing that's just like, this is it. This is what I do.
To that specific person.
Yes.
Right. For sure.
So, sorry, Pastor.
Well, to add to that.
Well, I couldn't help it. I just was so excited. And I think that's, like I said, it's a natural mistake because you are so excited and you just want to tell them everything.
Can I just give you all my stuff?
Yeah.
Well, and I also think it's kind of keep a little mystery about yourself. Like, just a little bit. Like, you want to drop little interesting things later. Like, let's say one of your emails gets through and a query gets you a read, and then the read gets a request for more material. Leave a little mystery, like, okay, guess what? In a year from now, oh, dude, I forgot to tell you about this. If they are interested, if you have that relationship going.
Is it kind of like dating?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That you don't give it all away in the first date.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. What were you going to
I
say?
was just going to say that, you know, part of, again, this, it's building a relationship without having somebody face to face. So it's always very hard to, like, sometimes sarcasm can come across snarky in an email. Like being mindful of how you use words and what words you're using and stuff like that. Like you can't read somebody's face when you're reading an email.
That's true.
And so, you know, like same thing like with the dating thing. You know, oftentimes we're just excited to be with this person, and then you're all out there, and they're like, "Whoa, that's too much."
You never get the callback.
Yes, so I would do it all
Or
the
how
time.
do they do it now? You don't get to swipe or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works.
I don't even know how to talk about any of that stuff. But it's a little bit of a dance, and I feel like email is like that too. It is a little bit of a dance. Couple practical things that, you know, thinking about the dating realm, like some of these people that you're sending emails to literally get hundreds of emails, hundreds of emails, sometimes in a day, on a variety of things. So making sure that your subject line is clear.
Yes.
Or say that, you know, like just like with you responding back to this person who you had that email thing, you were doing the congratulation thing, replying to that existing email. I had a mentor of mine say, she's like, yeah, I literally have this email thread that's 4 years long with this one exec, but he always knows when he knows that like that's me, even though the subject line has nothing to do with whatever they're discussing in the email exchange kind of thing. But it's the reminder of, okay, how do I know this person? What do I know them from? Oh yeah, that's right. Because they are dealing with so many things. So the brevity and making sure that they know how to place you.
Yes.
And some of that comes with the creativity and making sure that
And like you need to be careful though.
Yes.
You don't want to cross the line. So don't take my advice too seriously. I guess.
Well, I mean,
don't be too creative.
Well, you want to
we write in rainbow colors. I'm always the one with the purple one. No, I'm just kidding.
well, you want to be human, but you also want to be professional.
Yes.
Right.
And it is. It's hard to feel like you're building a relationship when it's just words on an email. But you can do it, and a lot of people do that. And that email will lead to a meeting maybe, or having coffee out, or whatever. And that's the goal. That's finally the ask kind of thing. But you have to build the relationship before you get to the ask.
Right.
Another thing with emails in the industry right now too is, you know, how long do you wait? So you've sent out this great email. They gave you their contact. They're like, yeah, ping me and you know, let's catch up sometime. You're not gonna send a very long email with your script attached. Do not send anything unsolicited. You have to ask in order to send anything. Like 100%. Like that's a legal thing. Like they literally would be like, sorry, dude, like you just crossed the line. And that is the line. When, you know, there can be legal repercussions to things like that. So building the relationship organically, like you're talking professionally to a friend, that you're not a robot, and that you have something interesting to offer, that you both have something interesting to offer to each other. So responses for emails.
So
how long?
Let's go back to what you were saying, though, that, you know, you've met someone, they gave you your email or their email. Think back as to what that situation was and where they gave you the email. Because if you had coffee with them, do you remember what you talked about when you were having coffee? Did you guys talk about your dogs? You should make a mental note. Okay, I've got, you know, Bob's email, and we talked about dogs at such and such coffee shop. So when you do email him, put that little piece in there so it plugs his memory as well. Hey, remember when we had coffee and we talked about your husky losing its hair because it had allergies, and my dog has allergies too?
Or you just say, hey, how's Boo?
Yeah.
That's
Even if you know their dog's name, that's a good thing.
Yeah, because that will help them with their memory, because they do get hundreds of emails. It's like, oh yeah, you know, the conversation I had with Sarah was super sweet.
Well, and again, the whole idea of all of this is that you're writing, you have to separate your writing from the interaction that you're having with who you're trying to get your writing to. And your writing will speak for itself, you know, and you have to have solid writing. You want to do that. The worst thing you could do is this person gave you their email address and you're like, I gotta get in contact with them now. And then they're like, great, send me your script. You're like, I don't know one yet.
A year later, you finish the script.
Right. You know, and that's something, you know, being patient and being very calculating, yet organic and natural with this is such a funny little dance. It really, really is.
Well, so I had
we talked in our previous podcast about strategy. And there's a lot of strategy involved with these emails and how you send them and whatnot. So you asked about how do you circle back? How long do you wait?
How long do you wait?
So everybody's got their own different, because there's, again, no template on how to do this.
There's not.
Some people say 6 weeks, some people say 8 weeks, some people say 3 months. So I keep a grid, a spreadsheet of every single person that has asked me for a script and their email, and then it helps me, like, this is the date that I sent it, so I know when I sent it to circle back 3 months later.
Yeah.
So I do the 3 month.
Well, I've done the 9 month thing, and it works. So there was this executive that I was like, I have met before, so I didn't feel weird reaching out to him. But I thought, okay, I'm gonna get brave and reach out and see if they'll take a look at a TV script I had. And I was brave, and I reached out, and nothing. Didn't hear back. And I'm like, well, that's okay, because I see him about once a year when I go to LA. So I'm like, I'll just touch base again when I go to LA. Well, then COVID hit. I'm like, well, I'm not going to see him in LA because I went, but nobody's getting together socially. So it was 9 months later, and I kind of made a joke out of it. I think I started out my email like, hey, is 9 months too long to wait for a follow-up? And I was kind of like, haha. And then, boom, back to me super fast.
Yeah.
And was like, oh, I'll read, and read it and gave me good comments. And so, I don't know. I feel like 9 months can even work, but 3 months is better.
You might circle back with them in 3 months, but they might not reply to you until 9 months
That's
later.
true, yeah.
Or you could do that. It's usually like the shorter amount of time for those first couple exchanges. Like, hey, really, what is the thing? Okay, awesome. Send me your script. Reading right now takes forever, and they're just bombarded with so many things. And reading takes a lot of time. Like, people like and you should be doing this if you're a writer. You should be reading other people's stuff and investing time into them. It not only helps you, it helps you be a better writer too, and it helps you be supportive in this crazy dream that we have.
And it helps you understand what the exec or manager, whoever you're sending your stuff to, what their daily multiply reading someone's script by whatever. I don't know how many scripts they read in a week.
It's crazy. It's insane.
Yes.
It really, really is.
It helps you. It makes you know if they take the time, if someone takes the time to read, that says something. I don't know. You impressed them in some way, shape, or form if they even took the time to.
And that's valuable. That's it. Your time is your biggest asset right now, and especially for these guys. So don't be disheartened if you don't hear back in 3 months. Don't be disheartened or not. Like, the circle back, if it goes past a year, I think we can call that one a dead one. Like, let's just put the coffin in the ground, and if it's meant to be, something might resurface. And it's so crazy how interesting, like, one project with one certain person might not go anywhere except establish that relationship. And then later on, it's crazy how that person comes back in your life on a totally different project. So don't be disheartened if something feels like a dead end when it comes to email.
And don't fixate, because I know a lot of people fixate. Well, I sent that email and it's been 4 days.
And then you get resentful.
Well, and you're wasting so much of your mind and your energy on that. You need to just let it go, pivot, and work on the next project.
A lot of plates. So think about how many plates you're spinning in your world with just your own projects. They are spinning everybody else.
So time flies. Like, I don't think Big Link and I, and I do too. Link and I, another year's gone by. I know. So I don't know. I think it's okay to follow back.
Yes.
But know when the project's dead. Like, if you followed back a few times and there's
no reply,
don't keep
that's
at
okay.
it. Yeah.
And again, don't take it to heart. I think that's really important, like you were saying. Like,
Okay, Becky, you've pitched so many amazing projects. We've all pitched amazing projects, and maybe we haven't heard back on those projects. But that doesn't mean they're not in that exec's mind or in that manager's head. That all day long, I think they're trying to make placements. Like, hey, this could go here, this could go here. I think you have a good story you could share. Who was sharing the story about a year later? Somebody.
Was it me?
Yeah,
So I had a contact that reached out to me saying, hey, there's this producer that I know. She's looking for a particular kind of script. I thought of you and your script. Again, it's all networking and contacts. Anyway, so she said, I'm giving you her email address. Please do not share it with anyone else, and all that etiquette that goes along with this. This is a particular producer who's looking for this. If you have what she's looking for, go ahead and send it and tell her that I sent you.
Yes.
And so I sent it.
It's a very referral-based business.
Right. And I did the 3 month thing, and I circled back, and she said, we have gotten a lot of scripts for this particular thing that we're looking for. Please be patient. That's their cue. They're being polite by saying, please be patient, and they mean it.
And that's not a no.
Yeah.
Like, that's a maybe. And
Right.
we live by maybes.
Yeah. So then another 3 months went by, and I circled back again, and that time I didn't get a reply, and so I just kind of let it go. And it was 11 months. 11 months when I got the reply, and I just got it like 3 weeks ago. 11 months. And it was a very nice email saying that, your script made the first round of reads, the second round of reads, but, unfortunately that's where your script's journey ended. However, we are always looking for this particular subject, so let us know if you've got something else.
Yeah. So a no turns into an open door.
Yes.
Because of your patience.
Right.
That's awesome.
And that you're an easy person to work with. And I think that...
and how many times have we heard that when we get a read, someone says, not this script, not at this time.
Yeah.
So it's nothing personal, but it's just not this story at this time. So hang on to it.
Mm-hmm.
And keep writing something else.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And it's such a long game too. And I feel like if there was one thing that we keep coming back to with this, is it is a long game.
Oh yeah.
And patience is a virtue. And patience is something that doesn't come natural to us, especially when you've worked really hard on a script and you're so excited about it and you're like, this thing needs to go, kind of thing. Like, it's gonna be made in 6 months or something. No.
There's stuff out there like it right now.
Yeah.
Staff me in that room. Come on.
Right.
Well, our scripts are our babies, right?
Yes.
And our baby wants to be in the game.
Yeah.
My baby's been on the sidelines
Yes.
for how many seasons? Put my baby
We're
in the
the soccer
game.
mothers on the sideline.
Yeah. Put my baby in the
Get
game.
my kid off the bench.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we feel about it.
Oh, very much.
Which is awesome. Which means that if you're that excited and that proud of your work, if you can find somebody to champion that, that's even better. So for sure. Okay, so let's kind of pivot a little bit and talk a little bit about just etiquette when it comes to, well, two different things. We can talk about social media first. I feel like that's pretty short. We can do that, knock out that short little list real quickly. Do's and don'ts of social media. What do you guys feel like are the top 3 things that you should not do?
Oh, yeah. So DM, which stands for direct message. So if you're on, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, if you're following Ron Howard, right? You love everything that Ron Howard has ever directed.
Which is good to follow.
Yes.
You should be following people like that.
Yeah, and you have this pitch for this show or movie that you want, and you decide to direct message Ron Howard because you have that connection.
It's really not a connection.
Yeah.
It's really not a connection.
Especially-
that is not an organic connection.
Especially because he probably didn't follow you back.
Yeah.
You're probably following him. Yeah.
Well, even if he does follow you back,
Yeah.
that's the big no-no.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's not the appropriate
Yeah.
place to do that.
Right.
Be a
Yeah.
fan, and follow and know what's going on in his world and maybe how you would fit in that, but you would not, that's not where you're pitching your script or yourself.
Right.
And another thing is be careful what you say on social media because these are platforms where if someone is looking at you or interested in maybe repping you or reading something of yours,
They want to get your vibe. They're going to want to see what you're posting and what you're commenting on.
Yeah.
So be careful.
So be
real.
Don't trash talk
and
another show.
Oh,
Just don't do
yes.
that. Don't trash talk anybody
And
else's
don't trash talk people and just be. But I mean, a lot of
Nothing good
people
will come of that.
No, and that's us. I mean, we are the old church ladies, but there are. I do. My Twitter is a lot. It has a lot of the LA crowd, and sometimes I'm shocked at some of the stuff. I'm like, whoa. I'm
Screenwriter
afraid-
Twitter, people.
I'm
just
afraid
take
for
a look
you.
at that.
Yes.
You might have to take a shower
It'll
afterwards.
scare you. It'll
But
scare
like
you.
in a good way too, and that's something we have to understand. We might not be the norm. We were
Yes.
talking about this, like where do we fit?
Yeah.
We don't. And I'm not saying conform to
Right.
that.
So if we tell our children not to post anything on social media that they wouldn't want their grandma to read, then it also applies to us.
Yes.
Don't put anything out there that you
That you don't want Ron Howard. to
And I
read.
should not be talking about anything social media because I do zero social media. It's terrible. My friend Kim is going to be like, she's been trying to get me on all the things. She's like has plans for me, and I need to subscribe to the social media thing, but
I don't think it comes easy for any of us.
No. And it's a brain drain.
Yes, it's scary.
The next thing you know, it's like I've spent 2 hours
trying
on
to
this.
do a post because you're so afraid to say the wrong thing. And I'm with you. I only do it really because Well, if I had not moved away from my family, I would never have been on Facebook because I'd be like, everybody I know, everyone in my world is right here. There's so much good in social media, but yeah, you gotta be mindful, and it doesn't come easy. I don't think I enjoy it, but sometimes it's necessary.
Well, it's a tool.
Yeah,
and you have to, just like any tool, you could, make something beautiful out of it, or you could really damage some things.
Yes.
Like, it can be a hammer in both ways.
Yeah. Right, for sure. Right.
So be careful, and just know that once you put it out there, it's always out there.
Yeah.
And I might think you can take it down.
I like
but
what
I've
you
seen
said
some
about
serious shaming.
Yeah.
Like, think about what if your grandma would be disappointed. So that's a good way to look at it. Well, grandma will be mad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Any other social media stuff that you guys feel like, etiquette wise, I feel like a lot of people intuitively know that, but I do think that people don't realize kind of the channels that you need to go through, especially if you're excited about something. There's appropriate ways to do that, and there's some amazing resources and articles. Quite a few of the things that we're talking about right here. Ken Maimoto wrote a really great article on this. I found a couple things too. Launchpad. There's some other things. There's tons of resources out there. I would also just challenge you to make sure that you see the timeliness of when these resources were printed on what's etiquette and what is not.
Yes.
Because there is some, to the Twitter thing, there's some people that are getting staffed because of Twitter posts.
Yeah.
But again, you have to have the clout behind who you are as a writer. And if you cut your teeth on the right, it's, again, so much of this, and I hate using this reference, is a dance, and art is art is art,
right?
Just like figuring out your journey is not going to be the same. We all have the same, ink and palette. Is just a matter of like what that's going to look like. So one of the things that, so much of this, again, you're going to feel like sounds like what you're taught your kids. Yeah. Mind your P's and Q's and these kinds of things. But I feel like sometimes as writers, we can be kind of awkward sometimes, and we are excited about that project that, we're not thinking of the bigger picture here. So coming back to, you're going to be engaging with a human being in whatever shape or form. So if you were going to be sitting down to a pitch versus, say, a general meeting, there's different ways that you can be operating in that.
Well, and always have the mindset that you're meeting with someone who has met with thousands of someone just like you.
Yeah.
So what is going to set you aside or, in a different light than all of the other 999 people that they've seen before you?
Right. So boiling it back down to the dating.
Yeah.
Like you sit down across from a meeting, even if it's a meeting, if it's coffee, if it's a pitch, what are the first things that you're going to do? Do you launch right into your memorized thing and talk like a robot?
Yes, a general meeting, very different. Unless you're asked to pitch, you aren't going to pitch, most likely.
Right.
You're just going to kind of get to know each other. And I love that part of it. That's the best part of it.
You're like, oh, thank goodness, I can just hang out with a normal human being with a normal human being.
Right.
That's what we're good at.
You just get to know the person because, again, just think of it as your writing is in your back pocket. You're not walking in there with your back pocket showing. You're walking in face to face with somebody, just like they have what their job is to do. Is vetting you. Is this somebody that I want to build a relationship with? Because here's the thing: if they decide to say yes to your project or yes to you, they're saying yes to a long-term relationship. It is kind of like dating in a way. They're saying, I'm going to invest time into you, into your project, into your career. So it's really important to make sure that the relationship building thing, and again, that was one of the things that we really wanted to talk about with the etiquette thing, is it helps you build relationships. And it's important because the relationships are what gets something farther down the road. And you are that, not your writing right off.
Yes, you're leading that.
So I like your Boulder analogy. Tell everybody about
that's a good
the
one.
Boulder analogy.
That
if someone is championing your writing.
Yeah. So this is something that my manager kind of said to me in a discussion we had one time, that really opened up my vision. And I feel like as emerging writers, we all need to understand this, because sometimes you're like, okay, you've got my amazing script, when are we going to have it? And I'm not saying this is me, but I feel like this is, as a new writer, you feel this way, okay, what's the next thing? And when are we going to be pitching it to ABC or studios that feed ABC? And he was kind of funny. He said, it's like this. It's like you've got this boulder, and we have to create a team a big enough team that wants to help you push your boulder up the hill. And meanwhile, all these people pushing your boulder, they have their own boulders they want to push up the hill. And it really it makes you realize, like, yeah, you have to create this relationship with people, get them to love your story so much, that they want to push it up above and in front of their own personal stories that they're trying, their own projects they want to kind of push up the hill. And it really, yeah, it's just a good way to look at it. Just remember when you do get that little door open or that window open and someone is reading, remember that's just a tiny bit of the process. Then it is the building of a team who wants to push your boulder,
which can take years to build.
Yes.
To push that boulder up takes years. You know, and that's why the etiquette thing is so important. And it's not just a front-loaded thing. You're not going to just start off with etiquette and then become total a-hole later. You know, like nobody wants to. There's a phrase in the industry. It's like, don't be a dick.
Yes.
You know, just don't be a dick.
And you have to be patient, like we said before, because the team that's pushing that boulder up the hill the director needs to come and push it, and the producer needs to come and push it, and any acting talent staff that wants to do your story has to push it, and then the people that want to finance it have to push it, and the studios.
And even before then, you have to have a development team that wants to push it. And I feel like
it takes time to get all these teams and to know that they believe in your story so much that they can't, leave it be, that they really want to.
And it's more than your story. It does come, I think that's where it comes back to you. Like,
that's what I mean. It takes, do we want to work with this person for a long period of time is really what all etiquette boils down to. Mm-hmm. Is this somebody that I can talk with and not feel weird or awkward? Can I communicate effectively? Can they communicate effectively? Can we get on the same page quickly?
Yeah.
And that all boils down to how you start everything up.
Okay, so a couple last things just to kind of close us out. I know that we kind of opened up with the email thing because we felt like it was pretty important, right? I think that one thing that we should do is maybe kind of close with the email thing. And one thing that I feel like we don't do as emerging writers because we're so excited is have somebody else read your email
before you send it to this, industry person.
I feel like Sarah's our champion email girl.
One thing to keep in mind is if the person has to scroll down on your email to read it, it's too long.
Yes, and another tip: see what it looks like on your phone.
Right.
A lot of times they're catching up on the emails that they don't need to when they're in their cars or on the train or whatever. Yeah. So short and sweet. And then when you're formulating an email, don't put their email address at the top just in case you accidentally send or something weird wonky happens and you're like, oh no, you just created yourself some stress. Yeah. So create the email without their address in there. Have another pair of eyes of somebody that knows, has been in that position before, or somebody that's in the industry, and be like, how does this sound? Kind of thing. Yeah. There's lots of people that are working writers in the industry that still have the person that they always bounce an email off of. So like if you are nervous that you're like, oh gosh, did that come across the right way? Have your tribe take a look at it real quick, and most people have the time to read an email. Give you some feedback.
We're like, sure, I can do that.
Exactly. Well, I feel like that's a really great place to land.
Yes. Awesome.
Hopefully that was interesting. It wasn't as fun maybe as we usually are, but this is.
What do you mean? We make everything fun.
We do make everything. Emails are so fun.
I had a question come in about the beer sign that's in the background, especially since I don't drink beer. The bar sign is an antique. It hung in the Milwaukee airport up until 1975. It has an airplane at the top, and when my husband got the opportunity to purchase it, he couldn't resist. Hey, what can I say? He's a pilot. For more information on our podcasts and videos, be sure and check out our Facebook page with the same title, Faith, Final Drafts, and the F Word. This episode of Faith, Final Drafts, and the F Word was filmed and recorded in Milwaukee. If you like our videos, be sure to like, share, and subscribe.